Marty.
Okay.
Marty's next. You want to come over and wipe on the...
You're okay. This, there are two kinds, as Jake has been talking about. There are zinc plates and there are copper plates. And it depends upon where you're working. And when I work at Oxbow, at the Art Institute of Chicago, they only use copper because it's like the etch is less toxic, and you can stick your hand in it and not burn yourself to death. The zinc plates are basically what I usually work on, except at Oxbow. So this is one that I actually etched there. The drawing is done usually on a transparent piece of paper. I usually do it on some kind of transparent paper. This was for something else, but it gives you an example. And then I use carbon paper when I transfer it. Now this copper plate is covered with a hard ground. And there are all kinds of different hard grounds. Susan and I use
A ground is like, you would start out with a solid piece of copper with nothing on it, and you cover it up with a resistant coating. So because this is going to go into acid, ferric chloride or nitric acid, so wherever you see white areas of the plate, things that are not black, that means that they were protected. They're like covered up, they're sealed. And so Marty sort of scratches through her drawing, and then we put that into acid and it whites. And the longer it's in the acid, that's how those lines are so luscious in that poppy. We'll do big plates. Marty is building a garden, a huge garden of flowers, etchings. That's a big installation that's coming up in the next year or two. But the plan is she's going to build these flowers, but the reason those lines are so dark in some areas and lighter in others because they've been eaten deeper, so they hold more ink. It's like the way they print money. You know how they print money? Everybody goes, yes. But this is sort of that concept. So, all right, so you're going to...
Well, then I just wanted to tell you that the other part of this is, when you see this plate also has what's called aquatint on it. And that's another process where you can get all kinds of grays and different shades of blacks and grays. After you've already etched it, we spray it very lightly, and you can block out areas and then put it in acid and take it out and block out more areas. So you get all kinds of depth to it. So it's kind of a long process, and I think that lots of people, they say to me, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. That's a lot of work, and it takes a long time. But it's the feel of it is really wonderful when you get into it. And Susan and I have a lot of fun doing it. We have the system of doing, and we really get working. Last Wednesday we worked from 10:30 till 5, never sitting down. And by the end you're just wiped out.
But when Marty first came to the studio, she would print like one of something, which I like to print one of something, but she learned how to print. I mean, she had the skills, but she goes, well, don't you think we ought to print like 8 of these? I was like, well.
Yeah, now we're doing. Okay, the first thing you do is you scrape with this little card or some sort of small scraper. This is mat board, and we scrape the ink into the plate.
So sometimes when you're printing this way, the plate will wear down because it's made of metal. It'll lose its crispness after a certain number of prints. So that's why certain prints are, they call them limited editions. They're smaller. You never want to trust like an etching has thousands of copies.
Because it's a fantastic way, and I know she can do that with Marty and others, but it's just an amazing opportunity And so much of my work is very, very spontaneously done, and so I'm not always working off a plate. Anyway, this is,
So he might get a little carving up, but what we're doing now is we blotted the paper, we took it out of the water, we rubbed off the extra moisture, and we're gonna run it through the press.
Figure out
one
the registry.
Okay.
So the paper's damp, but it's not soaking wet the way it was. It has to be a little bit drier than straight out into the water. Here we go. It could all go horribly wrong.
It could be horrible.
You want me to send it through? Okay. Okay, coming through.
Okay.
It needs to be much tighter with intaglio than with relief. You really have to push that paper into those little tiny delicate lines. Come out a little bit more. All right. This is called the reveal. Wow. That sound means it's good.
That's what we live for.
That's really something, huh?
Piece of dry paper. I feel like we're the magician.
I know.
Putting this on top of the plate. It's cut to the size of the plate. I want to make sure the pressure's not super killer, because it'll. And then we're going to take this and we're going to tap. This is like a powdered glue across the back of the Japanese paper. You guys will never want to do printmaking. It's all this work, right? We know you do. Roll it through twice. Do we have to do twice?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Do you think
Maybe
that's too
not.
tight? Is it okay? That pressure is. All right, okay. You go ahead. You're the cranker.
Okay. Are you saying go back?
Let me just.
All right, hang on, let me come out a little bit more.
So that's how you get color underneath without, so that's called chinkole.
Say it again.
It's